I reckon this is probably the first time in the history of any game broadcasted that we've come back before the time has run out at a break, Blake.
Ever.
Yeah, we are.
I reckon that as well.
Yeah, it's like a value add. We're really breaking the mold here. You guys thought you'd be sat there for 3 minutes. I definitely feel for the people that went off to the bathroom or to, look at themselves in the mirror, as I often find myself doing. So
I was doing that, but then there was no toilet paper, so I had to go tell them, hey, there's no toilet paper.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And then it was like, you got to get in here quick. So hopefully this is the quickest game of our life here, or Chipotle's interesting.
I don't know if it will be the quickest game of our lives, but we want to talk about it here because, of course, our format here at the AGE Open Players Championship is an elimination one. So 3 losses gets you eliminated, essentially. 3 wins is your ticket into top 8 here, of course, and the potential to be crowned the Players Champion here. Let's talk a little bit about our next matchup because now we're getting to a 3rd round, so there are some players at 0-2. We want to spotlight them. Specifically, World's runner-up. Chris Iaali finds himself at 0-2 coming into his 3rd round of Swiss, boasting a very healthy AGE win percentage on Briar today. It has not been his day thus far.
I love that he's like, predict the finals with who and who. It's only right that we go full circle and put me versus Craig in the finals. I'm tired of 2nd place finish. Well, if you're tired of 2nd place finish, I think you're not going to love a 15th place finish. So Chris has to get out of here alive, or I don't know. Maybe he won't ever. Maybe he'll have to move out of SoCal if he.
Do you think he can get run
last
out of town?
Place?
We are that spiky out here, aren't we?
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be like, Chris, maybe you can win on a world stage, but your locals clown on you.
Should this not? I think this might just indicate the depth of ability out here in Southern California. Let's talk about Chris Iaali's opponent in this round. It will be none other than Aria, typically a Dorinthia player. Speaking to her today, she basically said, I'd prefer not to work too hard to sort of win these like unfavored matchups, which makes sense, right? A lot of Lexi, a lot of Dromire, a lot of Iyslander was expected. So Aria decided to turn coat, pick up the Iyslander deck, and she's also had a bit of a tough run today as well. I think she just lost against the Scourge himself.
Yes, which is interesting because like that's a Craig's doing Bravo, and Bravo kind of feels like in the new version of everything we're doing in this meta, it's not a free matchup for Iyslander, but it's pretty much Iyslander favored of you need to be doing bigger things to Iyslander more than 6 damage, as we always say. But like it's hard to do that when they're taxing you. So maybe there's some like, yes, you brought Iyslander because it's the best deck here, but maybe not that you needed more reps or like you're playing it subparly. It's just you need to know every letter to the law to beat someone like Craig.
Yeah, absolutely. That obviously didn't go away, but this is an interesting matchup, I guess, in that Chris Iaali, has a lot of experience playing Briar and a lot of experience against Iyslander, so there's definitely a sense that you should know what you're getting here in this matchup. And for Aria, she's definitely looking to stay alive in our Players' Championships here and begin her run. Again, both these players are live for top 8 still with how this sort of works for us, right? So they need to win out basically from here in the Swiss.
Until you are cold and dead, you are alive for the Grand Champion prize. You won't have the best seeding maybe for the rest of the day,
right?
But there's no like, oh, I went 0-2, so I need to drop right away because I have no shot at top 8. It is different because it's elimination.
Absolutely. We can talk a little bit about the deck lists here. I'd say, Chris, pretty standard take on Briar at the moment. Obviously, she gets a boost with that Anthem of Spring specialization that was brought in here. We're going to have Chris start. Notice there's Spell Void 2 on the arms. The Shock Charmers are there. And, we're going to see the non-attack action to open us up here on turn 0.
I'm loving the lime green. That's a cool twist. Be as green as possible to present how lively and vivid you are.
Vivid.
Versus
definitely a word I'd use to describe Chris Iaali.
Yeah, versus the death of the blue 8. What is it called? Bleak Expanse. That's going to be
Bleak Expanse.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a card that is in Aria's list here. This was a blizzard now to strip the go again away from this Ravenous Ravel, and Aria will say, I'm not taking any more attacks from you this turn. Thank you very much.
I think the Bleak Expanse kind of good against Briar because if you do try to set up a Tome of Harvest and that goes off and Bleak Expanse happens at instant speed, you're just paying a bunch of blues. You're paying a blue to get rid of your arsenal. That's it. I don't think anybody would play that ever.
Well, yeah, it's also you can't reveal cards, so can't fuse. You also can't Sonata because you're revealing cards on the top of your deck. So there are like a very wide array of applications that Channel of the Bleak Expanse has in this kind of matchup. Aria will be looking to deploy an Insidious Chill on her turn.
That's a good way to lose early on to Icelanders. Does Iyslander get multiple chills starting off? Because it's just the hands need to be crafted exactly right when you play Runeblade, so you can do them in the right order. You get your embodiment of lightning. Anytime there's let me go ahead and take a card out of your hand during this, it's never going to work out for the Briar of like getting to play their turn optimally. Like I feel like the taxing of Iyslander hits those decks hardest that need to also, what is it called? Like play it in the right order? Sequence,
Effectively.
Sequence correctly.
This is a Sonata Arcanics from Iaali, and Aria has a window to respond here.
Is Arcanics a real word? Is it a word we made up for?
I think we made this word up.
Because it would have been Arcana, and then a bunch of them is Ix.
It sounds like a death metal band, generally. But no, I don't think Arcanics is a word I'm familiar with. Snatch getting pulled off this one. It might be a yellow Snatch here, which is...
Would Iaali play yellow?
I've seen yellow, yeah. Again, that is like a 3 attack, 3 power attack, I suppose. There's some relevance there, but I've seen the yellow Snatch in the Briar list before. Also, the foiling might just obscure that fact. So Aria opts not to deploy what is sitting in her arsenal right now, but I believe it was a blue card from what I saw. So here comes a Rabble once more. Flip off the top. It's a red Razor Reflex.
That's always a rough hit, showing the like combat trick coming, because now your opponent's like, all right, I'm going to save a defense reaction for next turn because I don't want to get hit by a Razor. Does the go again happens no matter what, or it has to hit to get
I think it happens no matter what.
Okay, I haven't played that card in a solid minute.
Yeah, it's making a little bit of a comeback here, I think.
I play the big bruiser dudes. pummel.
That's not what I'm hearing lately, Blake.
Who knows? Well, they would use...
So no, it is, sorry, excuse me. It is an on-hit go again.
Gotcha.
So you do need to connect with it.
We do know how this game works sometimes.
Yeah, I never really played Katsu's, never really card. I think I played it for a time in like the Raiden Bolton list back when, Bolton's still kind of bad, but back when he was even worse.
Bolton is... I was on Bolton for 2 weeks, and I'm off Bolton for 2 weeks already.
Razor Reflexing and Illuminate didn't suck, though. I quite liked that. There were some handy little things you could do with it, but pretty pedestrian by comparison. Right, so we have an Ice Eternal here in response to the Ravenous Rabble. Fused, that is a Channel Lake Frigid being revealed.
We're going to try and stop Chris's turn before it even starts.
To answer in chat, that's a fair question for the format of most tournaments. This is actually an elimination match in this invitational tournament, so at 0 and 2 is quite relevant here. This is why we're covering this game. Fair question to ask, though, I think, on an average day. This is anything but.
This is a day 8 months in the making. No average at all.
Bolton is good, Mitch. How do Marcus cope harder, my friend?
Prove it, Marcus.
Yeah, no, you need to get to an armory at some point, Marcus. All this job and such that you have. Maybe you should just quit and come play.
When we have the Shock Charmers, are we just trying to hit a red Aether Ice Vein, or is there another case for that we would save it for? Or neither of us have played Briar with Shock Charmers ever in our lives. So.
I do definitely think it's when they're trying to blow you up. Yeah. Obviously, like the actual triggered effect on that card is probably not nearly as relevant as it would be in like a Lexi deck, for example. We saw an Insidious trigger there, a discard unless you pay 2 effect. Looks like that's why the Anthem of Spring is sat in pitch right now, and it's going to be a block with a red Aether Ice Vein. Iaali probably happy enough to see that go, but there's plenty more instances of discard unless you play 2 shenanigans in the 60 for Aria.
Yeah, get that card out of there. How's Aria at 34? Oh, no. I'm thinking Prism, 32 health. I was like, oh, my God, how did she heal?
It's weird that a big bruiser player is thinking about Prism at a time like this.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
So we have a 3. Make that a Rosetta Thorn now for 2 and 2. So reasonable turn despite the disruption that's been leveraged here. And yeah, it looks like that Snatch came off the Sonata Arcanics is just being used for pitch here.
Which that makes sense because it's a yellow. It's not going to be the best break point.
Darren, great question. This is an elimination match in an invitational tournament, so the O2 is just a little more relevant than perhaps an average Swiss event. Fair question, though. It's one we're getting a little bit today.
We're popping. So the one thing that is bad about Briar's interaction with Iyslander, if you haven't played this match 500 times, is anytime the embodiment of Earth pops, the Iyslander has a window. And anytime Iyslander has a window, she can play a blue card from Arsenal using her hero power. And that's something that can, literally before Chris's turn even starts, hey, here's a Frostbite.
He's a
Channel Lake friendship right away. We're going to have fun this turn instead of whatever you thought you were planning on.
All right, we are not pitching into this Sonata, which makes perfect sense. Pitching 1 is not going to do anything. Let's see, Warmonger's Diplomacy. We've got a Tome of Harvest. Oh, and then
There's
there's
a
off the top.
whiff.
Not great. Facing down this level of disruption and nothing off the Sonata. No replacement of that card. No arcane damage off of it. That is a blank piece of cardboard, folks.
How are you feeling about Warmongers? You enjoying the gameplay?
Unfortunately, like I just feel bad for Iaali players because they just get further hosed. First, it was the bullseye braces indirectly, the ban indirectly affecting them, and now Warmongers affected them pretty negatively. So, as a Dorinthia player, we can work around it. Might actually impose some deck building constraints on us a little bit further, but yes, it feels like it's perhaps a little overrated. Many decks that are abusing it in already winning matchups. I think like it does break I think there was a narrative for a long time, Blake, about like LSS just loving Runeblade and it being their favorite class and yada yada. This card absolutely
shatters that. Yeah. No longer their favorite.
Now I do think we've not seen any attack actions here, but Aria is on a attack action build of Ice. It's not a full arcane one. I don't think it includes Wounded Bull, but you should expect to see, your E-strikes and some of those attack actions still present. Finals Fighting Spirit will be there too. We have a Swarming Gloomveil coming in here.
It's been interesting watching some. I watched a Briar player earlier. A lot of Swarmings coming in for 3 because they just don't make a rune chant there is no rune chant generation anymore because we don't have Grasp of the Arcanite here. So this does feel like a very low power thing where block 3 or take 3, who really cares here, and starts slinging spells.
So Chris, past reaction there, or went to, and yeah, you can't get go again. So that's pretty rough. Like you said, you can't make a rune chant. There's no embodiment of lightning being created there. There's no embodiment of earth being created there because that gets blocked out effectively. So Chris IP2s himself essentially on that turn. Right. Just doesn't have the texture of his hand not looking great, but there's a lot of disruption on board. Now there needs to be some damage to come from behind that from Aria to really start pressuring that virtual Time Walk. I mean, Aria spent a sink below for that turn, and that is it. So, Iaali in tears. He had a local, I think, that was put off Iaali last week after getting Warmongered about 5 times in 3 rounds in an armory. And they were like, I don't think so.
We're pitching an ice card here, and you're like, oh, don't you want an Arsenal? Or maybe you're thinking, oh, this would be a great time to have the Cornet Peak. But we're doing it to keep the lake up. So 3 damage spell. Who cares about disrupting my opponent's turn from Arsenal? Because I already have a juicy disruption up.
Yeah, definitely it's about getting the ice card in pitch. So Channelman Heroic. This is probably why we saw that sort of setup turn, we'll say, from Chris. Unfortunately, Chris needs to take a setup turn here as well, virtually, as we're pitching, obviously, to deploy the channel. And we're going to draw back up. So it doesn't get much better hit than this for Iyslander. And look, and you look at Chris. Like, I mean, there's a fuse here, as there wasn't last time, right? And that's the thing. You to some degree you can decide when you want them to be fusing, and also we know that might just go straight into Arsenal, that Insidious Chill. So the level of disruption here is going to be immense. And it's going to be really hard for Chris to actually capitalize on this Channelman Heroic that he really took 1.5 turns, I want to say, off to deploy. Very frustrating to see this. Is 2 instances of discard unless you pay 2, plus the tax effect of Channel Lake Frigid all in effect right now. This is a good example of Briar struggling into this level of disruption.
I do think Briar has an opportunity to kind of focus on fatiguing, and fatiguing not maybe the traditional thought process of just block out everything Iyslander has, but also I can swing 7, block 7. And the ability to the Carapace blocking Arcane, having that be a new avenue added to Dusk Till Dawn is just let me just pitch a blue for every spell you have. I know you have probably 9 Aether Ice Fiends at worst. Maybe you put some in cases in there. Obviously, they got to look at their deck lists 2 days ago, so there was maybe I think if you're playing in this tournament, you probably went through all of the other 15 deck lists and were like, how would I play against this person?
Yep.
I should spend the 2 hours of my life to put all that together. And because we watched somebody, John Zapata got basically fatigued by Fuzzy earlier, like last round, and it was like, I'm just going to swing for 7, block all the arcane you have, get through your spells, get through your red attacks, and like put you away that way of eliminating your cards.
Yeah, having a natural, at least a more natural AB3 available to you now, so it's a pretty big deal because in many cases, like you might see Briar take a Tunic and Grasp the Arknight into this matchup, right? Which is obviously 2 pieces of equipment that don't offer you that sort of arcane barrier here. So Crown of Dichotomy plus the Carapace is AB3, so it answers like your Encases, which are pretty annoying. We're starting to see more of those brought in by these Icelanders, and you are always taking damage from an Aether Ice Vein. That's just going to happen unless it's a blue and you want to block it out, which is fine. So Chris might be forced into a more of a mid-range, dare I say, kind of strategy here. But this feels totally fine, right? You don't have an embodiment of lightning up here, so you're just presenting a straight sort of 7 damage.
But it's a good card because you prevent your wizard opponent from playing instants because Exude Confidence is quote-unquote on the stack.
That's right.
As the chain link. And after that, basically Exude Confidence says you cannot do anything else from hand. So here's that card we saw earlier flipped up, the Razor Reflex giving this go again. He knows there's no way you could react to it. So this is always going to hit.
Exactly. It's pretty unlikely that Aria, like unless, Aria's big attack actions are not necessarily blocking for 3. It's a Findor's Fighting Spirit in her deck list that would be able to turn off Exude Confidence. That's a 2 block, right? So it doesn't feel great to block with that. You raise a reflex for damage there. So Chris really trying to chip away at Aria. He's not looking for the action point. As a result of that go again, just an extra 3 that can't really be answered. But again, Aria sort of is able to just sort of chip back and keep it pretty tight. And in this position, you don't have your Channel Mount Heroic anymore. You're pretty close in life. It's uncomfortable.
And Chris was rushing to draw cards, and Aria was like, hold up. I'm going to act before you do that.
Yes.
And just hit him for 7 with the Emeritus Scalding, using the Tunic to Waning Moon, like basically spending 4 resources.
What color Emeritus was that? Was that
it's
blue?
a blue,
okay,
yeah.
Blue, right. I've seen a couple of red Emeritus make their way into Iyslander lists.
That's crazy.
I think Anthony Fair might be on it. Anyway, here's an E-Strike. Here's Wonderwall.
My favorite.
Coming for 5.
And we do see the Bleak in there. So if Chris was like, I'll draw a card, Aria can flash that in and just be like, no, you're not.
Okay, well, goodbye action point unless you pay 2. Chris is probably 5 go again on that. I don't know if he wants to part with the Snapdragon so early here.
Do you know where that Frozen token's from?
Yes, it's from the Attack Action podcast.
Oh, starring Colin.
Yeah, I have one myself. I even use it.
I saw the mat in my closet this week, and I was like,
Isaac, Taylor, all the gang. Shout out to y'all.
They only come for battle hardens, though.
Yeah, they're
not AG Opens.
They're big shots.
Champions.
It's fine. We let them come down, you know what I mean? It's good exposure for us.
Yeah, expose me, please. Something.
That's the joke.
Aria's going to block. That makes sense. Don't want to get too far below health. That's how you live.
Preserving life is
yeah.
It's a good way to not die in because people die if they're killed. You know,
True.
That's something you want to avoid as a rule.
I do think that. We are going to play the Channel the Bleak Expanse. And this is not a card that everyone has months of play into.
Right, but let me channel the Blake Expanse and tap into your limitless knowledge of this game. Tell us a little bit why this is so punishing for Chris. Is it punishing on a turn like this, or is it just like a prophylaxis from Aria, you know?
It's a prophylaxis.
Do you know what I mean? Try to preemptively make it hard for
yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we get the pitch of the snatch right away. So maybe I was going to try to hit the snatch and get a different arsenal card.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to draw a card because Channel the Bleak is up.
Yeah, maybe did he pay for the Blizzard there, Chris? Because if he plays for the Blizzard and then there's a Channel the Bleak Expanse revealed, that's a huge punish for him.
Right. It stopped his turn, but Aria doesn't keep it up because she chose to do Crown of Providence instead of Coronet Peak.
Yes, so you don't have an easy
I think
outlet.
it's just like not bad, but it's not like you just have so many more options to keep your channels going.
Yeah, they're both blocked too. So you really think the big difference is that Aria is looking for the filtering effect, but you've got sinks in your list. So maybe she's looking for an extra
Right.
instance of that. Also, like maybe
If you just draw 4 reds and 2 attacks, like you need the get out of jail free card that Crown of Providence provides.
Yeah.
Once again, Chris, we're like, I thought it was Chris's turn. It is. We are doing the embodiment of Earth, but that means Aria gets to act first.
just a cold snap that Chris has to deal with. So like Chris only has to worry about the one frostbite here. Obviously, Aria can replace this card and feel pretty good about potentially blocking with 3 cards and still having quite a functional turn, which is kind of the goal. If you're playing against Iyslander, you really want to like force obviously damage, chip her away, or get her to give you 3. If you can get her to give you 3 cards, that means that she can only play on one turn, not both of them potentially, especially with these like multi-axis like Bulllander lists. So how
Dude, multi-axis in this game is crazy. Like, being one of the best Arcane users and then also playing
very
the
efficient.
best math
Yep.
is just like once.
And then playing on both turn cycles, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then getting 2 back-to-back turns with Stormstriders. All of a sudden, it's like, now it all comes together. That's why.
When
she's
Big
so-
Mike did the big math on that, it was like that just seems so obvious later, and it's still good like a year later.
Yep.
Which like when we're introducing new heroes, it is like, okay, we got some new stuff in Dusk Till Dawn, but how many of those? There's 2 out of 16 that are playing Dusk Till Dawn heroes of 2 Levias.
Yep. And even then, like you're still playing a hero that trades at consistency for raw power.
Right.
Which I mean, I watched Angel playing against Craig before, and Craig had about 5 cards left in deck at one point. Like Angel was able to put so much pressure on and hit above rate so consistently that the Bravo players had to keep blocking, was risking fatiguing themselves via that mechanic. So we know Leviah is powerful for those reasons. But as we saw in that first round, if there's a deck that wants to race her lack of disruption, and sometimes bad luck can be her undoing. Waning Moon, and I pitch to this Arcane damage.
I think Chris is definitely like, I'm going to have extra cards. Just kidding, he took it. He wants to have a better turn.
Yeah, wants the
He-
scarf.
there we go.
Again. Yeah,
I'm gonna manipulate my life perfectly to go 1 below you, so this has go.
it's a good place to. It's a good place to be to make use of this scarf for a scar. That means that you can do a few things. You can throw a bit of a mopey Rosetta here. Make use of this last card if it's another attack action that makes for a decent turn. It can even be like a lightning surge card that
Would you ever dress up as Ira for Halloween and give us a scare for a scare?
What does Ira look like? Yeah. I could probably rock that.
Okay.
I'll be about it. Okay. So there you go. All of a sudden,
Yellow snatch again.
yeah, yellow snatch. So 4 then 3. If this is a red snatch, I mean, it feels a lot better. You can ask for that pair of Iron Rock Gauntlets there, or get 2 cards out of the Iyslander, which seems really unlikely, but amazing if you can do it.
I think one option that Chris has to do a power turn is a Snapdragon.
Did Taylor miss the whole shout out we did for
He
him?
did miss the
Yeah,
shout out.
that's cringe.
So I think how you beat Iyslander as Briar is you make the Snapdragon turn like oppressively bad. So, but Aria's trying to prevent the, okay, let's not have you have Channel Mount Heroic with like a 4-card hand next turn.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, we have Chilling Ice Vein up, but that, not Chilling Ice Vein, Insidious Chill up, and she's probably going to save that for
Gorganian time?
the next time.
I mean, no better time than the present, right? Oh, he's thinking about.
Oh, we're snapping right now. Great.
Yeah, we did snap, but
I think you could put Gorganian Tome in your arsenal.
did you turn
save
that
it for next turn.
Snapdragon into 2 physical? Oh dear.
Not great.
Okay. Is there like? Is that Gorg time? I'm just trying to think to myself if that really, why you don't want to go for it there.
Gorganian Tome's
I guess
gotta
you're
get-
just setting up for a bigger turn, right?
You play Gorganian Tome in Bolton?
No, you tell me, big guy.
Just charge it.
I was
Charge it if
I
they
was a
haven't
little,
played theirs
I was
yet.
a little Briar degenerate for a time.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never had a matchup there where both players have had Gorg time and someone's played it after the fact. So block here. Oh wow, Warmongers. That's a 3 block. Wow, generic blue. Sign me up.
It's actually blocking for 4 because I'm even stronger with my embodiment of Earth.
Wowee. And look at that.
Even Aria was like, "What? This
CMC
map doesn't work. Give me
just
that
got
arsenal
8.
card."
My goodness. Warmongers blocking for 4.
What's next? Oh my gosh, Brain Freeze. Brain freeze. Okay, so what's a 0-cost card in Chris's hand that would literally be the worst if it got put back on top of his
The snatch
Force
is
of
the-
Nature.
Yeah, I think what I'm actually looking at Chris's hand right now. It's only a snatch. Looks like a tome of. I don't know. Force of Nature's there. Yeah.
That would be a gross one to put back on top.
Yeah, it's a blue. It really turns his turn on. I don't think there's a fuse target for it though, so we don't get the little +1, but still like sending. Okay. Oh, I see.
He's
We're
gonna pitch
pitching
it away.
Yeah. Giving Aria no choice really, and not allowing her to even sort of take this card. So it makes sense. Pitching to the compulsory effect of the Insidious Chill first, which kind of is to Aria's detriment, really. She allows Chris to be selective about how he ends up filtering that hand, and still gets to deploy this Lightning Surge from Arsenal. Aria knows full well the last card, of course, in Chris's hand is. I guess he might look to chip damage with it once more. We are getting, we got AB3 on Chris, so he's pretty robust and he can handle like that sort of kill combo we talked about. It used to be 12, the magic number, but.
Because we got 4 with Go Again showing, and then we all know that there could be a Rosetta, and Rosetta is a sword, so Razor Reflex works on that as well. Don't forget. So there's 10 possible damage coming in.
You turn Rosetta from a 2.
We'll do it on that one instead.
Yeah, I mean, you're not playing a non-attack action this turn, so I don't know how exciting the prospect of that is. But hey, you get Go Again on hit. You may as well use that resource left over for 2 physical. All of a sudden, you presented 9 damage after a significant amount of disruptions come your way. And yeah, Aria finding herself falling below 10.
Which I think this is the exact amount of life. Oh, I'm going to cough first.
Okay.
I think this is like basically exactly where we want to be life-wise too. To get, I can take a little bit of liberty with my life to set up a bigger turn. Maybe take like 7 to put Aria away instead of like constantly be begging for like 1 or 2 points of damage the whole rest of the game. Fabric loves the Frost Frozen token that Attack Action Podcast gave them.
Yeah,
but
nice.
Fabric does not love Flesh and Blood enough to come to the AGE Open.
It seems that way, yeah.
So weird.
They're probably playing Grand Archive. Cringe.
Grand Archive Rec.
All right, so here is a Polar Blast. Chris will not pay, strangely enough, but he'll have to pay through the Frostbite here. All right, we're rabbling. We got a red off the top. It's a Coke, so we're coming in for max value. Well, almost max value. 4. That's pretty good.
4, and I'm going to go again. 0 for 4, Briar. How do you stop that?
Well,
disruption.
Yeah, again, the options for disruption for Aria are exhausted this turn after it was a weaker card from Arsenal, I think. The Polar Blast, obviously, again, replaces itself, still part of that cycle. That is fairly effective. But Chris is continuing to play very conservatively here, looking to set up an Arsenal once more. So it's 2 coming in. Aria says, are you interested in parting with that last card in order to eat some Arcane damage? Chris says, not on your life.
Give me that 2 Arcane. Let's do it. I think what's interesting about playing the Warmongers in your deck list and blocking with it, you're like, this is a hero that I could play Warmongers against.
Yes.
And shut off his turn.
Yep. The problem is that it eats an action point. Chris is also not doing the big. I think Warmongers is very good with like stopping your opponent when they have extreme tempo, because it obviously really limits their upside on their turns. But right now, Chris doesn't really have that. He's playing a really mid-range game. And a lot of the time, it's like attack action with Go Again, followed up by a Rosetta Thorns. So that action point for Aria might be better utilized by trying to force some damage or force some cards out of Chris's hand, and keep his tempo down. So trying to send Arcane damage with disruption built in might be more advisable here. There's a Channel the Big Expense, another Command and Conquer. Now, we know Chris really didn't want to part with that Arsenal card here. So, I guess...
Now he's going to have to.
Is that embodiment live? So you can... Yeah, again, you've lost the Carapace here.
I think so, but he does
it's still a
embodiment
2-card
a different way. Yeah.
Still a 2-card block, I think.
Tyler Horspool completing his villain era by looking over his shoulder as he goes to the bathroom. Tyler Horspool's 3-0 on Fi.
So looking over one shoulder is...
He did it menacingly.
Okay,
everybody else can go back.
Did he have the glasses
seconds. He was about to think about putting them on.
Okay,
I could tell in his glimmer.
We're a couple of degrees removed from actually doing it, though.
Yeah. but it's implied.
All right. Because he gave me the impression that unless the glasses were on, he was, butter wouldn't melt in his mouth.
Mm.
So his alter ego comes out when apparently the UV light is blocked to a sufficient degree. It's kind of like a smoke alarm, really. It's how they're activated. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's about smoke alarms detect like the amount of like light coming in with the photoelectric effect, and once that falls below a certain threshold, it goes off. There you go. Tyler is operating on the photoelectric effect.
What a prophylaxis.
Take that, wave particle duality.
One other tactic we have employed here that I don't think we've talked about, Aria choosing to be the only person to not put on their players' championship shirt.
That is not...
Out of 16 people.
Peter Bedencic apparently contractually obliged to wear the kayfabe cards jersey.
Did he put it under his jersey?
No.
Oh,
he was wearing a black blazer over his baseball-style jersey
so weird.
to start the day with.
I didn't want to look at.
I think he was trying to position himself to get on for a cameo on the cast. I think.
Well, that's not gonna happen.
No. It's, sorry, Peter. Sorry, buddy.
Just kidding.
Coax a commotion, just like we're doing amongst our players here today.
This is a 0 for 4. What's cool about this one for the people who have never tuned in to our broadcast, maybe it's your first time. Coax is a warm hug on an attack where
it's a symmetrical effect, right?
Yes.
It has a set of them.
Parallel, whatever you want to say, where you go, let's both draw a card if this hits, or let's both gain a life, or let's both gain a quicken token.
Not irrelevant here because, yes, while it's a symmetrical effect, Iyslander is less adept at making use of those generally. Doesn't always have the ability to make use of multiple action points on her turn, although there was a time where it was like E-Strike into Wounded Ball was a thing. That was that was pretty messed up. But we have Channel Bleak Expanse out here, and once again, I'm going to proffer my Waning Moon.
And Channel Lake Frigid costs 2. Channel Bleak Expanse only costs 1.
Yes.
So you get the free Waning Moon. It's not free. We did pitch a blue. But it's one of those, like, Aether Hill's way better than Ice Bolt because of the 1 cost.
Yes.
So you, with 1 blue, disrupt my opponent at least a little, and then disrupt my opponent's life at least a little. With 1 blue.
Again, that's what you want to do. That's why you're priced into blocking with 2 cards each turn cycle generally. That's why. Oh, there it is.
Warmonger.
Okay.
I had 2 Warmongers, Blake. How dare you?
And I mean, I don't mind this at all because Chris is not. I guess that Channelman Heroic got pitched there to probably stop some Arcane, but still a fairly healthy group of cards for Chris. Now, the turn looks a little bit less exciting.
Ooh, this is a great card for Chris. Because how many blues do I have in my hand, Aria? Are you just dead? Because you need to block right now. There's no after effect. There's no, maybe you can use some other disruption.
Yeah, so...
Or you die.
Let's talk about it. Obviously, Exude Confidence is 4 damage at face, but at instant speed, you can pump it by 2 for 3 resources. So Chris could be, hiding a blue in hand here and might just pump it. Aria.
That's a Warmonger in hand. So that's at least a bump to 6.
Yep.
Another bump would bump to 8. So Aria, you always probably need to block at least 6, but we're showing the blue to keep our health strong.
Yeah. Definitely. 17 is really healthy total, to be fair, but...
this is just a big game of chicken between our 2 players. Oh, he said, are you bleaked? Because I don't know if you can reveal whatever you revealed earlier.
Cannot reveal.
So,
yeah.
Are we going to roll back a little bit, rewind?
I mean, yes, we probably roll back. Again, that's another symmetrical effect.
Also, I think she drew off of the cold snap, and you can't draw cards. Maybe that's what's going on.
Was that the previous?
That was this turn.
Okay. Yep.
She ripped the cold snap and was like, "Oops, I drew this card because I forgot that I'm also screwing myself over." We're talking about a warm hug. Here's a cold hug. This is another symmetrical effect. It's the only channel that's symmetrical.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if on
Channel
Heroic add +3 to both sides?
About that. It might find some player matchups like this, perhaps. But again, where something like Coax looks pretty good, just giving the Iyslander a quicken token. It's an amazing. So yeah, look, I'd say that not frequently played is this Channel of Bleak Expanse. Just started to make its way back in, but you're absolutely right. You cannot replace that cold snap. Now, what it looks like Aria still has a group of 3. So I think this is still being discussed with Connor. You can see there, one of our judges.
Yeah, I think it's like, I screwed up. Maybe you were going to bump this up anyway to kill me off of the exude confidence.
Yeah, I think either way, I don't think Aria was awarded a game loss for that. However, I think she probably realised that from there she was going to be in a lot of trouble. Yeah, it was caught. All pointed out in the chat there, Patrick. Channel Oblique Expanse. You cannot search, reveal, draw cards. You cannot do any of those things.
And legitimately, it's not. Wow, what a we're not DQing somebody for 2 years off of this. Like, this is a card that no one has played.
Yeah.
Like, since it came out in Uprising, I think it was like, wow, we can really mess with Blood Rush Bellows, and we can really mess with who else draws cards?
I mean, Lexi draws cards.
Oh yeah, let's hit a 3 of a kind. But then it was like
drawing cards
so,
off of Art of War.
Like, you have to draw it at the exact right time.
It's narrow, right?
Yeah, like,
you need to work to keep it in play, much the same as channel like Frigidens. And again, you're playing without, the Coronet Peat, which we discussed, can be harder to keep those channels around for as long as you would otherwise like to. And also, a lot of the time, Aria, we didn't see a lot of these like large attack actions deployed to sort of put that pressure on the Briar's life total, right? A lot of the time, Aria's going for these arcane-based plays, and Chris has AB3 in this matchup. Chris would love to see more of that, like just more arcane effects coming, especially ones that don't have disruption. The fact that Chris basically gets time walked on one turn cycle where, there's 2 instances of discard unless you play 2 plus a frostbite effect. That's pretty brutal. No, I don't think Aria's been awarded a game loss as a result of this. I think we also said that. I think that she actually opted to concede the game at that point. She felt like she was not in a winning.
Not enough health.
No, I don't think. I don't think
it
Aria
was one of those like, get me out of here. Like, I'm not having a blast anymore because maybe I messed this thing up. We're gonna ask Chris about it. We'll get a little more info. We're gonna see him in 32 seconds. He's already looking at us minutes.
We take a short break, right? So we don't have to do this. All right, we'll be right back with Chris Iaali.
Yeah,
he did it.
Finally.
So 1 and 2 the hard way. The Chris Iaali story. You're gonna win this tournament.
Yeah, 2 more.
There was multiple people in the chat who were like, I think I went away to put my Hot Pocket in the trash, and we're watching an O2 matchup? What's going on? And it was like, we have to show Chris on stream now because there's a chance we'll never get to show him again. But you did it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Okay, so talk us through the last 45 seconds of that match of, I'm going to play Exude Confidence, and then what happened after?
Yeah, a little unfortunate. Aria played Cold Snap and drew a card off of it, and we noticed it like shortly after, but she was responding to the Exude because you have to respond.
Right.
You can't play instances or reactions. And I think the whole little judge call, even though we just resolved it by putting the card that she drew back on top, kind of distracted her a bit, and I think she forgot that she can't react to
Can't
Exude.
play Sink Below.
Yeah,
so
she wanted to sink below it, but yeah.
yeah.
A little
But
lucky on
live
her
and you
part.
learn. You'd rather do it here when it's for $1,100 instead of in Vegas for 16,000. I don't know how much. How much is it
I think
for
it's 10,
nationals?
right? 10 for first?
$16,000. Are you playing Briar in nationals, or is this like
No way.
a big like? What did I do? Why did I play this or
No
here?
way. No, I think that there's going to be a lot more Rangers in nationals. Like Lexi is going to be the most popular deck still, I think.
Okay.
And coming into today, I knew that Lexi was going to be as popular. We only have 1 Lexi, right?
Right.
And but I wasn't expecting all these Icelanders.
No. It's crazy. I was like, these Levia have a chance if they can, like, usually you just blood rush a couple Icelanders and you'll win. And like seeing some really good Icelander players go down to like a fatigue strategy against Briar, is that something that makes sense when we say Briars can fatigue Icelander? Like, can you talk us through that? Yeah. Is that a game plan in your mind, or you've never heard that either?
I mean, Carapace like gives you the option, I think, to build around that because you'll have AB3 and you'll have the block to stop their attack still, I think. But if Icelander's game plan goes well enough, I think that it's still going to be really hard to fatigue them.
Right.
It depends how they sideboard too. Like if they keep the Frost X's in, it's going to be hard to fatigue them. So
we got a question in the chat. Chris, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? That's worth answering, I guess.
let's go with cookies and cream.
Nice. Let's go look at your profile here. We got you're most proud of yourself.
What?
Chris, oh no, maybe that's your thing.
That's my name.
Most were also close. It's hard to sing up. You're rooting for John Zapata or Andrew Rudin if it's not you. What's your favorite thing about those two guys? We're just being happy here. We're doing some happy
For
thoughts.
sure. No, I think it'd be great if John won. He's always so quiet, but he plays so well. Like I love watching his games. He's playing Iyslander today, and I think he started off 1-1. I don't know if he won this round or not. And then Andrew's just been like a diehard Illusionist fan for so long and always putting in work on Dromai. And so I think it'd be cool to see him hoist a trophy.
What does the experience have planned for Vegas? Win every single draft round?
Yeah, I mean we have a little bit of plot armor, so because we have every single Vegas champion before, right? We got Tyler, we got the Vor brothers, we got Jonah, so yeah, our plan is just to win, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Chipotle was catered. How'd that go for you?
That was good. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it was
What was it like
Chipotle.
making your own Chipotle? I don't know. Maybe you had this at a work function, but I was making my Chipotle bowl for the first time instead of being like it'd be like weird making your own Subway sandwich. You're like, what am I doing?
Oh, it's nice. You get to put as much meat as you want without having to pay the extra.
It is possible to put 2 scoops in here. That's crazy. Guacamole wasn't extra. It was great. Oh, we have another question in here. How many members are taking Kano to Vegas?
There's a chance that Alex does it, but
Okay. Not all 12 of you guys again?
I don't think we're gonna switch last second again. But who knows?
Gotcha. Mechanologist set, is that something you're like, what is going on?
It's interesting. Like it sounds cool. I like the idea of what draft might look like for that format.
Barcelona's all based on boosting? Like, that sounds awful.
Or upgrading.
Yeah. Like
Upgrading
your
your
whole,
sounds cool.
like I'm going to fly to Spain and I'm in a national champion versus national champion at Worlds. And it's going to be like, did you boost your Evo thing or not? And that's you win. I'm going to go like, geez, we went kind of more variant. Like, I don't know. If you've ever played Dash, you probably have. Like, if you boost all your red attacks in the first way through your deck, you're like, well, I'm going to lose this game.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, just bring out the Smashing Good Times or something.
Hell yeah. Sneak them into your draft deck. What if the third Mechanologist hero is just based on you? And they didn't tell
me?
you. That'd be sick.
That would be really cool, but unexpected.
Iaali Boston or whatever. I'm down.
Yeah,
Let's
me
do
too.
it. Yeah. That'd be a good prize.
Probably play that hero.
Yeah. Why do you like this hero? It's based on me or whatever. The whole backstory. That'd be sick. Well, good luck the rest of the day. It is officially the hard way, the submarine, whatever you want to say. You need to win 2 more times. But I guess this is better than some other other tournaments where it's like, if I go 0-2, I know I'm not going to make it to top 8.
True. Yeah.
You still have a chance based
really
on our format.
Mhm.
Would you play in more formats or more times in this format? I don't know. It's interesting. I was never allowed to play in a format like this, but it seems interesting.
I think it works for like a smaller number of players.
Right.
Like 16 sounds like a pretty good sweet spot, but
Because if it was 32 and it was like you have to lose 4 times, it'd be like, geez, we're gonna be here for hours.
Yeah. No, I think Justin and the guys did a really good job coming up with this format for this event, and it's been a lot of fun so far. So.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
Arcane Games. You like the shirt, or you're
Hell yeah.
throw this in the trash as soon as you?
No, I have my other one here too.
Sheesh. I'm gonna let people know. You think that's gonna be scary to be like Players Championship? I guess it doesn't say. It won't say your place
hopefully
on
I can
it.
like win and then cover
Take
up
the
the
ship off.
Yeah,
I love that. Scare the people in Vegas. Well, good luck the rest of the day. We're proud of you. You can do this.
I'll try.
Bring Briar to the promised land and get her LL'd.
All right.
Because we're getting 2 points for LLs for this. Everyone in chat, that's real. I'm not joking. All right, bye.